Hey folks, this is Nate coming at you. I know it's been a minute since my last video. So tonight I wanted to run through sort of a smaller config. I think it's got like maybe 6 or 7 different presets on it. These are some Bladestyles that I've been tinkering with for, I don't know, maybe like the last week or so. And what these are is primary and secondary colors that are dimmed down. So these are like dim versions of the colors set up on a pulse style main blade. And so as a result of the sort of the dimmer blade, the accent colors like the blast, lockups, clashes, that sort of thing, they come out like a lot brighter. So tonight I put this config on my custom installed Elemental Spire Vulcan that Carlos Hernandez over at Kessel Customs did for me. I think I did a video on this saber when it came back not too long ago. Since then I've used it a couple of times while testing out some Bladestyles and just general play, and this thing has been fantastic. So this is the custom chassis he built for me for it. And originally when I bought this, it had a CFX board in it, and it was the legacy chassis from Saber Trio, and it had a CFX board, and it worked fine, but I had wanted it board swapped to a Proffie, specifically a V3 Proffie. And so I sent it over to Carlos, and I was like, hey man, can you just board swap this for me? He's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, you know what, I'll just build you a new chassis. So he ended up doing a full chassis redesign. So, and it's great. It's been fantastic. So anyway, I've got my Bendu Armory 32.5-inch KR Bright Blade on tonight. So just gonna run through this config real quick. These styles are set to some Blueforce sound fonts. So I've got we're going to start out with a dim silver blade, which is set to Crystal Radiance, a yellow one that's set to Temple Guardian, a red one that's set to Ignition Redux, and then we go to a green one that's set to Dark Space, and then sort of not a purple, it's really a magenta, because it's equal percentages red and blue. So then we have a magenta set to Photon Blade, and then we have a cyan version set to Fracture, and then a blue blade set to Liquid Static.
Temple Guardian. Crystal. Liquid Static.
Alright.
Crystal Radiance.
So now we're at the top of the presets. So this is the silver. And I love this. And I know I keep coming back to this, but I love this little style code he did for me on the power button. It's pretty dope. So on these I've got a Style Fire pre-on. Now, I say these are dim, but you can see, even as a dim blade, these are still pretty bright. And so part of the reason I wanted to do the pulse style of the main blade is I want that fractured effect on the swing. I'm just putting my hand over the speaker to mute it while I talk. Blasts. And clashes. Now these are somewhat similar to a set of Bladestyles I did, I think almost 2 years ago, where I did sort of a set of primary colors, and I tried to do sort of ratio color versions on all of the effects, like with the blast, the lockup, and the clashes. I tried to do sort of either paler or darker versions of the main blade color. In that, like the clash and the lockup, in some cases are incorporate some of the color of the main blade, but these are not quite that uniform. But they are sort of templated all in the same way, where the blasts are usually like orange, red, or orange, and the melts are all kind of the similar color. And then it's really the lockups and the clashes that change with the main blade color to try and match the main blade color. Listen up. That's a tip track. That's silver, and I'll show you the ignition pre-on again. So that is the base style code from that was FET263's faulty ignition, and then what I did is I took that base style code and I modified it to use a style fire design rather than the standard. I think it was like a standard either random per LED flicker or audio flicker that he uses wrapped in that faulty ignition style code. So
Temple Guardian.
this is yellow. And so in this one, the clashes and the lockup are using a little bit of white, but also using some light yellows. So it looks a little white on camera, but in person you can see a lot more of the yellow in those effects. And then on all of these, I'm using a spark tip on the ignition retraction that is a half step from the true color of that color. So for instance, on the yellow, the main blade is fairly dim. I think it's like a 55-55, and then the spark tip is like 128-128.
Ignition.
So here's the red. And you can really tell with the red, this one is almost too dim. In fact, I may have to brighten this one up a little bit, but you can really tell the difference in brightness between the the effect colors versus the main blade color on this red one. It comes out the most on this one.
Dark space.
This is green. So something else I've also been playing with, specifically on this set of Bladestyles, is elongating the TR delay value for the clash. And any of you who've grabbed any of my style codes from my paste bin, like within the last year, have probably seen the transitional effects that I do for these clashes, where they use like multiple color sets. Where they kind of step through like 2 or 3 different clash, sub layers within the clash. And so what I'm toying with now is I'm taking like that second step that contains the sparkle layer within the clash function, and I'm extending it by like 2 or 3 tenths of a second, just hang it on the blade just a tad bit longer, and I'm really liking how that's coming out. So you can see how so the full clash effect hangs on the blade for about, in total, about 8 tenths of a second. And part of the reason I wanted to try and do that was because these clash effects are specifically incorporating a sparkle layer in the middle of the effect, and so I really wanted that sparkling effect to hang on the blade a little longer so that you can see it, so that it's more noticeable. So you can see the little sparks coming up. And then also another example of some modifications I've been working on specifically in this blade set is taking FET263's standard ripple blast fade function from his OS 6 class library, this one, and I've been toying with adjusting the length of the hump, and so I've been making the hump a little bit smaller, but then I've also been adjusting that TR delay value so that that blast function hangs on the blade a little bit longer as well. magenta. Love the way this color came out. The sparks on the clash are a lot more noticeable on this color too. And then this is cyan. Yeah, and the sparks are noticeable a lot more on this one too. There we go. Just trying to take a tip drag.
Liquid static.
And this, I think, is the last one in the set. This is blue. Yeah, you can really see the sparkles on this one too. So those are the six sort of primary color and then secondary color styles. that I'm working on with sort of that dim pulse blade template. So the primary colors obviously being the blue, red, and green, and then the three secondary colors being yellow, silver, and magenta, because they use two of the three main blade colors in the RGB channels. And then in the case of the silver, they use all three. Excuse me. So these are sort of like a beta / first pass on these. I'm sort of just having fun with just trying some new stuff out. And I encourage, if these look interesting to you, I encourage you to pull them down off my Pastebin and, tear them apart and tinker with them and change some values around and see if you can get it to do something different that might be more fun for you. So a couple of the things I plan on doing with these, sort of in a V2 version that I'll probably post maybe a week or so from now. So I want to do something on the force effect, either brighten the blade or turn on some sort of a swing effect that does like a measured brightness on a swing with some sort of neat design on it, or maybe something like a strobe effect on the force effect that you can toggle on and off. So I plan on doing that. Then some other changes I want to make to these is I'm going to start toying with grading up the brightness just a little bit, because right now they are dim enough where they can be seen really well at night, but during the day you can barely see them on the blade, and so that tells me I'm right at the edge of them being like too dim, and so I'm going to start ratcheting up the brightness on the blades just a little bit, but I don't want to lose that fractured swing effect. That was really the thing that got me to try and make these as dim as possible, because I'm incorporating some color values on the main blade that are so low that they're almost a black, and that's what helps create that fractured swing. And so I have to be careful if I want to brighten up the blades by like 10 or 15%, that I don't make the darker range of the color too dissonant to where it looks more like just a standard unstable blade, because I don't want to do that. But anyway, I've rambled enough. I mainly just wanted to show you all this first pass of these new style codes I'm working on. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on the next video. All right, take care. May the force be with you.